TEDxEuston. Who? That's the answer. TEDxEuston. 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 How many times did I call you? How many times did I call you? All these ideas that you have been sharing since morning. I can't hear you. When you bring all these beautiful speakers, brilliant speakers, electrifying speakers, and have them all go first and ask a university professor whose task is to traffic in boring literary theory to come and close the act. There is... I didn't know I had enemies, in the in the TEDxEuston organizing team, sorry. And one other thing I forgot to do during my communication with the team was to ask them to please ask all Nigerians in the room to leave, if I was going to speak, because I wouldn't want economic ruin, to come to economic ruin and all that, because we love our woof too much. We love free. And that's because, I'm going to start by talking about my grandmother, who died in February. And why I wouldn't want to make that announcement in the presence of Nigerians is because she was 98 when she died. And you know what that means? It means cows, beer, party, and all that, because, they would tell me she lived a good life and all that, and we have to celebrate. Mama lived well. And so the Nigerians here would expect a lot of cowries for me, to spend and all that. Yeah, but so she did die in February, and that got me thinking about a lot of things that I learned from her, because she sort of co-raised me with my parents. And that's because we were growing up when my father had studied in Scotland and had come back to Nigeria and was continuing his studies in ABU. My mom was sort of tagging along, also doing her degree, while my father was doing her, and all those absences, they left the kids, with grandma. And that put me at the confluence of what you would call tradition and modernity. So I got all the ultra-Catholic, my parents were very strict Catholics and all that, and then they had the British influence and all this, So no tradition, but grandma, also Catholic, but Catholic, but because she was converted, obviously, but all the Catholicism, Jesus Christ, the Trinity and all that didn't stand in the way of Ifa and Ogun and Shango and all that. So I had a very healthy, grandma was the type, who in my parents' absence believed, for instance, in insuring me the African way. So I got a lot of African insurance. Those of you from Nigeria, you'll understand what I mean. The first 15 years of my life, if you count the razor blade incisions on my head, you'll probably end up with about 10,000 bere or so, So that's a way of insuring me. But she would ask me to kneel down, for instance, and make the incisions and do all her Ifa incantations and all that, and then, Loruko Jesu, in Jesus' name. That's how she ended it. Beyond the insurance, she told a lot of stories. I'm glad that Mama Dolika told stories. She told a lot of stories. So I'm sort of the last generation of Nigerians, who grew up on a very, very healthy diet of oral tradition, the folk tale. And she told a lot of stories and all that. After my generation, 2 days gone. his generation, that's the generation after mine, and all that. I was born in 85, was saying that. So they, that's Humpty Dumpty, Baba, Black Sheep, Mary had a little lamb, and all of them are here in this hall. Oh, Magdona had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. On that farm, he had a cow, E-I-E-I-O. And a moo-moo here, moo there, No, for my generation, there was no old MacDonald having any cow. We had the tortoise, and if you were in Ghana, you had Anansi and all these guys. So one story she did tell me, which speaks directly to what we're doing here today, because she also told me human stories. So there was this guy who was told that the only way forward for him, he's gone to check out his destiny the African way, Oh, you're destined for progress, you're destined for this, you're destined for that, if I is saying good things. But you must bring for sacrifice in order to find that path forward, that way forward, and be able to identify it and be on it, be on your way. Bring for sacrifice a pure white hen. A hen. A fowl, or is that what you call it here? What do you say? I'm confused. I live in Canada. I worked in the States. I speak Nigerian English, so all this terminology. It's a hen here, right? Chicken. Okay, thank you. Okay. Well, it's TED is about ideas. You get the idea, So let me use hen for purposes of convenience. So this guy goes all over the world looking for, every chicken he found, everyone he found, plain white, pure white, but there would be one feather somewhere that just wasn't, would be red, black, blue, and that disqualified. Yes, he couldn't find. So he started trying traditional science, crossbreeding, this and that and that. No, he just couldn't find this pure white, unblemished. And then one day, he eventually found one. And then he was inspecting and all that. Oh, yeah. White. Okay, I'm finally going to face forward and move forward with this sacrifice. And then just under the breast of this fowl, pops up on close inspection this single brown or black or whatever, not white feather, plumage. Oh my God. What am I going to do? I've been looking for this. And so our friend, the African in him, clicks in. And he put his hand to the fowl's breast and plucks out the offending feather. And the sacrifice was done, and he was on his way. Now, my grandmother used that story to illustrate something very profound in the Yoruba worldview, but which extends directly to what we are here to do today. And in a way, in a strange way, connects my talk to my good friend Kene's, because I was excited when Kene was talking about your hands in his talk, because the Yoruba say, "Owo ara eni, la fi n tu ara eni se." There is no greater determiner, shaper of your destiny, preparer of your fortune than your hands. So when the hand of that man reached for the breast of that chicken and pulled out that is the Yoruba word expressing the supremacy, the relevance of human agency. Human agency is fundamental, so that in this culture, in this worldview, everything you do is supposed to enhance the instrumentality, the life, reinforce it, the centrality of agency, the human. So when we're talking of all these African concepts, Ubuntu, togetherness, community, and all that, fundamentally we're talking about human agency. And that is why at this critical moment, when there appears to be a crisis of identity in terms of where our friends here in the West are going with human innovation, human genius, human science and technology and all that, then you begin to think critically. What's also happening with Africa? Because Science, technology, invention, innovation, moving forward, cutting edge, all the language, everything is there. It used to be that technology, the West understood that, somewhere along the line, man was central. And so you invented gadgetry to make his life easier, to make his work easier, to make everything easier, make life easier for man, human agency. But at some point, somewhere along the line, we got into a post-human dispensation. You take man out of it. And so you have all these gadgets. Amazon is getting dangerously close to eliminating man. Now the robots are they're picking out the books. The drones are mailing it to you. At some point, there will be drones replacing you in your house to collect something. The other day on CNN, is Zen still here? The other day on CNN, they interviewed a guy who was getting ahead of himself from Silicon Valley. In 20 years' time, medical sciences, there will be no need for doctors. Robots will do anything and all that. And I was thinking, maybe there will be no need for patients. You put a robot operating on, and all that. That's because science has changed from the fundamental philosophy of enhancing and making the life of man easier to replacing man and taking man out of the picture. But Africa says science, innovation, invention, creation, all that must reckon with human agency. Because history affords us of no example of any technology. We are undertakers. Man is, I hope I can say man here. This is Britain. In North America, I got to say person. I can't say prisoner, he will sue me, he's an inmate. I can't say prison, I've got to say correctional facility. I can say man in the generic sense here, right? So, political correctness in Canada and the US, it just chokes me, kills me. I can't say anything. But so there is a turn, a post-humanist turn, a post-humanity turn in the direction of science, technology, and innovation, and Africa seems to be insisting on a different path. We want in on this. We want to be part of this 21st century, 22nd century, futuristic world of invention, of innovation, and creativity. But hey, man, human agency. This was innovation. This was science. This was cutting edge. We presided over its funeral. Man will always preside over the funeral of any piece of technology that pretends to replace it. And that is what Africa understands so well. So the philosophy guiding and driving science, technology, innovation, and progress in Africa, we've got to understand that it's not the same thing. It could be the same gadgets. It's not the same thing. And there's no such thing as science, science, technology, innovation, gadgets that's produced outside of the context of a culture of thinking, of philosophizing. So we have to understand that. And so the question is, because Africa is insisting on that hand, that I want gadgets that would make it easier for my hand to reach the breast of that chicken, not chop off my hand and give me a robot chicken. Because Africa gets that critical message, then we have to ask the question. And I ask you, should Africa face forward? Answer me. Answer me boldly, answer me. Should Africa face forward? Should Africa face forward? Should Africa face forward? The answer is no. It is no. Because she understands, the other day in Air France, I was reading an in-flight magazine, and they're talking about smart roads, the smart roads, technological roads of the future. So we have smart cars, driverless cars that are being, I don't know what stage of it. So the human is taken out of it, gadgetry and all that. Now this smart car is going to be communicating with computerized smart roads and all that, and God knows where and all that. So I was reading it, and I'm thinking about this thing. I said, the last person to think of, I said, okay, well, we understand that there will be man to preside over the ruins and the funeral the funeral rites of even the most futuristic gadgets. And because Africa understands that, I don't think she needs to face forward. When I was in secondary school, we would say, Africa, face forward. Tautology. Tautology. No, she doesn't have to. As long as she insists on the humanity that all the speakers today have in various ways, because that's what all it comes down to. Human agency, all these speeches, that's what connects them. So long as that continent understands that the insistence on human agency is not at variance with progress, with innovation, with science, with moving forward, or facing, she doesn't have to, because the answer is Africa is the forward that the rest of humanity must face. Thank you.